So I want to show you how to make one of my personal favorite figurines. I just call him the Christmas mouse. The particular one we're going to make today is in the process of building a snowman. So this is kind of our ultimate goal. The first step is to make sure you have really clean hands, because little oil from your hands and grime can get onto the clay, especially the lighter colors. And so make sure you have clean hands and maybe baby wipes nearby so that when you switch between colors. These are the colors that I'm going to be using today. This is a light brown for the mouse's body, white for the snowman, and some other little bits. I have a pink for nose and ears, red for the hat, black for eyes, and then a little bit of dark brown for the tail. Though you can vary those colors up as you want, but that's what I'm going to be using today. I have my mirror ready. You're actually going to bake your mouse right onto your mirror. This can go in the oven with the mouse. And if it happens to come off in the baking process, we just super glue it right back on. So we'll actually need this for the process. My favorite tools that I use most often for clay things are just a basic knife for cutting little bits off, pair of scissors for cutting obviously and shaping sometimes, something that can make some pokes. This is a little pokey. A toothpick could easily replace that. And then I really like this. I don't know the name of it or anything, but it's a little bit curved on it. I think a spoon could easily replace this, but these are my most common ones. You want to make sure these are clean as well, and you might actually have to wipe them off in switching between colors as well. So to get started, get my little thing here. I'm going to start with the mouse's body. And so I don't actually need all this clay. This is quite a bit more than I need, but I am going to need some extra. So don't use up all your clay to make the mouse's body, because you do need some for arms and ears. So make sure to save some. And this was a little more than I needed in the first place. So I put it to the side, and I'm going to kind of roll it up. And I want to check to make sure I don't have any creases in it. Over here I have a little bit, and I can kind of just kind of rub those, and they go. And then I'm gonna make kind of a basic, almost like a teardrop shape here for the mouse's body. So it's starting to look a little bit like kind of like a teardrop. And then I bend the end here, and we'll do a little bit more shaping of him as we work with him. But so we get this it's kind of like a teardrop, and then tilted forward, because that's going to be his nose. Now you can right now put him right where you want him on the mirror, or you can continue baking or working with him and then put him on the mirror later. So we're going to end up with that. Next thing I'm going to do is add his ears, or hers. So when I go to make ears, I get a piece of clay, and then I try to divide it into 2 equal parts like this. You want to make them to the same size, and then I roll them into circles, little circles there. I squish them in my hands and place them where I want for his ears. So I'm going to put them right about there, right about there, and kind of flatten them out. Now this is where this particular tool comes into play for me, because I am going to then push and kind of right on there and try to smooth this out so his body and his ears are kind of more one shape. So I go all the way around, just pushing. Again, I think a spoon could work for this. There's lots of other tools with rounded ends that can work for this. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just go all the way around, kind of pushing and smoothing that, and I sometimes use my fingers to kind of smooth it together. It's like a little push and pull, and tapping it over and over and pulling the body and the ear together. And I'm going to go around and do that on both till it's a little bit more like one. So now I have the ears and the body kind of more smoothed together, so you can't really see that crease as much. It doesn't have to be perfect, but the glaze kind of covers up little imperfections anyway. Now I'm ready to kind of add a little bit more detail to the overall face. So I'm going to start with, I want the little pink in his ear, so I have my pink, and I'm going to get 2 circles two little spheres they're pretty small. These are really small, like smaller than a pea, but I want them to be the exact same size. And I set them there at the base of his ears, right there. And then I use a tool, something with kind of a rounded bit at the end like this, or again a spoon, and I go to flatten them, and I just give a little push as I do to kind of give his ear just a little bit more of a ear shape, so it's kind of indented. I use my fingers to change the shape a little. I want the ears to match as much as possible, so sometimes I have to go back and tweak a little to maybe one's getting bigger than the other. So now I have kind of curved, there's a little curve in them from the push and the nice and flat. I'm going to get another really small piece, even smaller than that, very small. If you get too big, you just break it up and get smaller. It's okay. Mistakes are going to happen, and you just adjust them as you go. And that's going to be the tip of his nose. So I'm going to stick it on there and then just kind of squeeze it a little so it kind of goes together with the brown and won't come off as I'm working. So now he's got a nose. And then next I'm going to do his eyes. So for his eyes are made out of black, and you are going to get, again, we want equal sized little spheres, lumps of it, and they're really small because you're going to flatten them out, so you're smaller than you think, because when they flatten they're going to spread into much bigger eyes. So very small, and because he is going to have a hat on eventually, I'm going to want to put them where they're going to be a little bit closer to the nose, because I want to make sure I have room for his hat to sit up here. So I have him right there, and I'm going to kind of flatten him a little, not too much, just get him into a nice circle, so you can see why I needed such a small lump, because they are going to spread out, and you can make the eyes as big as you want. If you want really big eyes, if you want really small eyes. Now we're not really done with the eyes. We're going to, if we look back on our original, we're going to put in these little dots that are kind of like the idea of like the reflection in the eye, and they give the eye a little bit of depth. You can do one or two. I like to do two. To do this though, you're working with really little tiny circles. So what I do is I take my white and I kind of, where am I? I get it where it's got like a nice little tip there, and I'm gonna pinch just a tiny bit off. So look at that circle. Can you even see it? It's so tiny. And I'm going to then roll it in my fingers and then set it right there on the top of the eye. I want it on the black, so I'm gonna have to move it, and then I push it down, and that gives him that little circle. And I'm going to do that again for another dot. I usually make the second one smaller, and then I'm going to do it on both sides, trying to make all of that the same size. Now that I have his eyes on, I'm going to move to working on his little Christmas hat. So I want to get some red clay, kind of roll it a little bit. When you're switching between red and any other color is really an important time to clean your hands, because the red will get onto just about everything else. So now I'm going to shape it into kind of a little bit of a, kind of a pyramid like that. Sometimes I use my pinky to push in the base a little because I want to set it kind of on his head. And I want to make sure it's kind of a good size and that it doesn't cause any problems to his ears. But if it does, you can see my nail poked into that. I just fix it. And I have, there's the base of the hat, and you can see I'm damaging that other ear and I keep having to fix it. So then when I go to put on that detail to the hat, I'm going to take some white and roll it so that it's like this, and then I place it. I like to start in the back. I place it around the hat, kind of around the ear here. We'll fix some of that stuff in a bit on placement. And I go around the base of the hat with the white, all the way around till it meets back on the other side. And then this is a good time for my knife or my scissors. I'm going to use my scissors. I'm going to cut it. get the two to get back together. There we go. And then for the tip of the hat, I'm going to just roll up a little white ball, stick it on the end. And to give it some texture, to make it really look like a Christmas hat, this is where I'm going to get something pointy, and I'm going to kind of poke and sometimes kind of pull as I poke, so that I'm giving it just this texture. This also gives me an opportunity to really push the white in to make sure that it's going to stay there. And I keep going all around, and I do that to the ball as well. So now I have that texture added all the way around and on the little ball on the top of his hat. And again, that's really just made by kind of poking and pulling. And we might do that again. If you choose to do gloves on the hands, you'll see that same process. Now we're going to add his tail and work on the snowman a little bit that he is building. So for his tail, I just get a piece of I like it just any darker color. Even sometimes I'll reuse the pink, but I've chosen to do a dark brown here. And I just roll it into kind of a log type shape, though I do go a little bit tighter on one end to give it kind of a tail look. And then as far as length, I'm just going to go with, like, I kind of put them on here and I go, okay, I've made it probably a little longer than I need to, so I'll cut a little bit off the end, save that for a different project. And then I just kind of tuck the tail up under him, maybe do a little bit of squishing with that, and then just kind of turn the tail so it's on here. There's no, you can have the tail go up his back if you want. I like to just have it there. So now when we go to do the snowman that he's working on, so we're going to make 2 circles, and then this one we'll put on kind of last with his arms. Get your white, make sure your hands are clean, and just roll it into a nice tight ball, hopefully without any mixed in colors. And you're gonna do that so that you have 3 of varying sizes, just like if you were making a snowman. I'm gonna put the biggest one right here, and then I'm gonna set the next one on top of that, and I have to push them together a little bit because we want to make sure that they adhere enough that they'll stay together in baking. And if they don't, we just super glue them together when they come out. So I'm doing a little pushing. And then this one here is going to go really off to the side. You can put it on right now if you want, but it sometimes needs a little bit of stabilizing help with the arms. So either way, it's going to go off at a little angle because he's going to be in the building process. He's going to be building it. So final real step here is going to be his arms. So his arms are going to be made out of the same color of his body. So I'm going to get that brown and then roll it up. You can choose to just make hands, kind hands, like little circles. They'll be out of pink, or you can do gloves out of red. I'm going to go ahead and do gloves because that's what I had in my original. I grab a little red, I stick it on there and kind of mix them together so that they look like that. Looks like a match. And then I'm going to go ahead and put some little ruffles at the bottom of that, just like I did for the hat. I usually use a really thin piece for this because it's pretty small to begin with. Put that on there just like we did, put it around, and then I'm going to poke it to give it that texture. So here I have 2 arms made with the little glove and the white frilliness at the bottom of the glove, and so I'm going to work on attaching them. So I want one arm to be here holding up this snowball, so I won't really be holding it up so much, but I want it to look like it is. And then I'm attaching it there and there. I'm going to use my knife or my scissors to kind of cut it off there. See, I intentionally made it too long so that I had some room. And I'm just going to smooth that out so that that gives a connection there. You can smooth it out a lot if you want. If you don't mind the marks, you can leave it. I have then the first arm attached. I'm going to do the same thing with the other. Have it touching a part of the snowman because that's what he's doing. And then I've got him all smoothed out, and now it's time to bake him for 2 So 30 minutes at 230, and once he is completely cooled, we will glaze him with something like this.